So good afternoon. What a beautiful day. And so thank you for all of you coming out today. And I just also want to stop for a moment and thank all of the candidates that ran. You all know this is a tough thing to choose to do. And I think we have a record number of new candidates elected into our General Assembly. About 36% of our General Assembly will be new. We have a few that have moved from the House to the Senate, but that is an extraordinary number of folks that are coming in with fresh perspectives, and that's just a good thing for government. So I want to, again, thank those that ran that may not have won. It's tough, but also thank those and congratulate those that did win. So let me begin with just a clear statement. I'm a little disappointed, to be clear. And I think that that's just a natural reality. But we've stepped back and we recognize that, boy, this was a razor-thin set of decisions that were made on both sides of a number of these races. And I think it underpins the fact that Virginia is clearly a state that has historically moved back and forth from control of one party in the legislature to control the others, to governor's races, with very, very thin margins. And we saw it on display again last night. And I think what that reflects is the fact that we are a state that is very comfortable working together, working across party lines in order to get things done. And that's exactly what we have done over the course of the last 2 years, where we have worked with a legislature that has had divided government, and we're going to continue to do this. The priorities for Virginia will continue to be those priorities that when we come together and recognize that cost of living is a real challenge, and we recognize that we need to grow jobs and create economic activity, and boy, the progress that we've made over the course of the last 2 years, I think, has truly led the nation in so many ways. We also know that educational excellence and making sure that our children have an opportunity to not just go to school but receive an extraordinary education continues to be hugely important, and that our neighborhoods need to be safe, and that we can, in fact, provide a full transformation of a behavioral health system that can provide help for Virginians the day they need it. These will continue to be so important, and these are areas where over the course of the last 2 years we have come together on a bipartisan basis because that's what Virginia requires. In order to move forward on all of these topics, we have had to bring together Democrats and Republicans, and we've had to bring together a House and a Senate, and we've had to bring together a General Assembly and a governor in order to move forward. And I am optimistic that we can continue to find these most important areas that we can move forward. I think this is what Virginians expect. I think they know that in a state that is so purple, that we do debate, we do argue, but they expect us to find common ground on these most important topics and to press forward. And I am optimistic that we will find these most important areas to come together over and over again, because that's exactly what we have done. And so I look forward to working with the House and the Senate going forward just like we have, and finding these most important areas of making sure we're reining in the cost of living, that we are providing some tax relief, that we continue to stand up for excellence in education and safe communities and transformation in behavioral health, and a government that works for Virginians and provides services and responsiveness that reflects the fact that we work for 8.7 million bosses. And I do believe that we can find that continued path to making Virginia the best place to live, work, and raise a family. I'm very proud of what we have accomplished together. A divided government that demonstrates that, yes, we can do this, and I'm optimistic that we can continue to find a path forward. So I thank you all for coming out today, and I am happy to take a few questions. Okay, there are a few. How about that? Yes, sir. Excuse me? Well, I have answered this question the same way for a long time, which is I am focused on Virginia. I have been in Virginia. My name is not on the ballot in New Hampshire. I have not been in Iowa. I'm not in South Carolina. I am in Virginia, and I look forward to staying focused on Virginia just like I have been. Well, I actually think that when we look back at the results from last night, and people are going to slice and dice them in millions of different ways, I think there will be a lot of lessons. I think the number one lesson is that Virginia is really purple, and that going into these elections, we knew that they were going to be tough. I mean, we absolutely knew that these were going to be tight races, and guess what? They were. And so all of the topics that people talked about, I think, were really important. I think one of my aspirations was to find a place to come together on one of these most difficult topics. So abortion is potentially one of the most difficult topics in Virginia and around the nation. And my hope continues to be that we can find a way to come together as Virginians and lead. I do believe that there is a place we can come together, common ground. This is difficult, and I'm hopeful that the dialogue that we started can continue. To be clear, over the last 2 years, we've had divided government, and we have found so many things to work on together that have propelled Virginia from a state that was so far behind. I mean, we were bottom third in job growth, and over the last 22 months, we are now number 3 in the nation in job growth. We have found a way to come together around funding education. We found a way to come together around supporting law enforcement. We found a way to come together around transforming behavioral health. And so these are areas that I know that we can continue to work on together, and that's what we've demonstrated. And so when we have difficult topics, we come together and find a way to move forward. And I guess I would just repeat that it requires all of us. It requires both houses and a governor. And I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here to continue to serve Virginians. We are not going to move forward. We're not going to move backwards. We're going to move forward. And most importantly, I think it can be an arm in arm moving forward that puts Virginia, again, at the top of the pack in so many areas. Well, I think the message that everyone should recognize on abortion is that this is a very difficult topic across Virginia and across the nation. And let's just go back and look at the races. These races were decided on a razor-thin margin, and we expected that, and that's what Virginia is. And so there were so many topics that went into these results. I do think that the fact that we tried to find a place to bring Virginians together will be a lesson that there is a place that Virginians can come together. There is a place that Americans can come together. I think Virginians don't want to be extreme either direction. I think they actually want to find a place to come together, and that's what I think we tried to represent, reasonableness. And I think in the long term, I think reasonableness is where people will come together. Yes, sir. Well, let me just be clear. I'm not going anywhere, and we still have a divided government, which means that we all have to come together in order to progress legislation. And I guess I was looking at it over the course of the last month. In the Constitution, it requires both houses to pass a bill and a governor to sign it. So this is still the reality of where we are versus the same place we have been the last 2 years. And yet I'm encouraged by the fact that over the last 2 years, we had record tax relief. We came to that together as Republicans and Democrats. Over the last 2 years, we funded record investment in our education, Republicans and Democrats. Over the last 2 years, we funded record investment in behavioral health and signed 22 bills to unlock our Right Help Right Now initiatives as Republicans and Democrats. We came together to provide record funding for law enforcement as Republicans and Democrats. We came together to provide record investment into making sure the Chesapeake Bay and our waterways are clean as Republicans and Democrats. So I'm encouraged that we have demonstrated that we can do this. It still requires us to come together. And I'm here, and I'm the executive branch, and I will continue to invite our leadership from the legislative branch to work with us and deliver these important objectives. Yeah, we're going to go over here. Hey, Greg. Well, I think what what voters said yesterday broadly across the board is that Virginia is a purple state. And literally every one of these races that was in the crosshairs was decided on a razor's edge, and that's what we expected going in. And so I think the one thing that we know is that abortion's a really difficult topic, that there is a place to come together around a reasonable limit, and I think Virginians can come there, and that's something that I continue to be committed to work on with our legislature in order to see if we can find. But again, I think that there is one basic takeaway from yesterday, which is the history of the Commonwealth, of being a purple state that moves through a very, very thin margin. They described it again yesterday. I mean, for example, neither party received a majority of the vote yesterday. I mean, this is just another statement of where Virginia is and why it's such a bellwether for what's going on across the nation, is that we tend to be in the middle on topics. And I think that's why we continue to work well together, is because there's very rarely been a moment where we have seen single party rule other than in the last 2 years of the last administration. But people have had to work together for a long time, and I think that's representative of how Virginians get things done. Yeah, so I have not spoken to folks on the Democratic side, not because I don't want to, but because they haven't gone through the process of formally naming their leadership. And when they do, I look forward to speaking with them. Again, this is how we get things done, but I think that over the course of the next week, I am sure they're going to meet and they're going to formally elect their leadership, and then I will look forward to meeting with them and working together to deliver for Virginians. This is what we have to do. They know that. I know that. And we're going to be able to find places to work together, I'm quite sure. Yeah. Yeah, I really think that the issues that were represented in the election yesterday were Virginia issues. And I'll repeat something I said earlier. We fully expected all of these races to be very, very tight, and they were. And we knew that retaking our Senate was going to be really, really hard. We saw a path to 19, and we saw a path to getting to 20 to be an uphill climb. We had great candidates that ran. But we knew that, and guess what? We're here at 19, and we knew that the candidates in the House were going to have some really, really tight races in a number of places that Joe Biden had won by a lot, and I think we performed really well. The bottom line is, this is a reflection of how tight Virginia races have been, will continue to be. Issues in Virginia are Virginia issues, and that's one of the reasons why I have been so proud to serve all across the Commonwealth, is because at the end of the day, Virginians know we have to come together to accomplish anything. And there is a Republican governor, and now there's a General Assembly that has a 21-19 Democrat control in the Senate and a 51-49 Democrat control in the House. And that is pretty bipartisan looking. And we're going to have to find a way to get things done. I'm optimistic that we can. But the key thing is that we have to both be committed to doing that. Perfect. Thank you all for coming out. Put your sunscreen on. It's a bright day, but, you know, as I said from the very beginning, the sun shines in Virginia every day. So thanks, everybody. God bless you. Take care.